Hey guys! What's up? Alpha Hawaiian Simba here, and welcome to another episode of Magnificent and Mythological. Now, you guys know I've been on a dragon kick lately, and I remember in the pilot for this segment I talked about Chinese dragons, but I think it's time I talked about dragons from mythologies in other parts of Asia. So with no further ado, this is other Asian dragons. Let's begin. First up, I'll show some other dragons from standard Asian mythology, starting with Yamato no Orochi, a dragon from Japanese mythology. Now, in most Asian mythologies, especially Chinese mythology, dragons are used as symbols of good luck and power. However, Yamato no Orochi, just like with European dragons, is an evil dragon. And this dragon's full name means big snake of 8 branches in Japanese. And Yamato no Orochi was one formidable dragon. It had 8 heads with eyes as red as winter cherries that keep watch in all directions, 8 muscly tails that made strange whistling noises when he thrashed them in anger. Its belly is perpetually bloody and inflamed from his kills, so the ravenous dragon's belly must always be filled, and its body stretched over 8 valleys and 8 hills, with a back covered in moss and trees. And according to the legend, Yamato no Orochi terrorized the citizens of the Izumo province near the foot of Mount Senzuzan. Each year, the evil dragon demanded a Japanese maiden to be offered to him in sacrifice. Even the bravest warriors could not defeat this vicious, cunning beast. One day, Susanoo no Mikoto, the Japanese god of the sea and storms, came upon 2 weeping parents. 7 of their daughters had been devoured by Yamato no Orochi in the past 7 years. Now their 8th and only remaining daughter was to be sacrificed to Yamato no Orochi. Susanoo agrees to slay the dragon if the 8th daughter will be his wife. Susanoo turned the maiden into a comb, which he safely hides in his hair. He arranges 8 enormous vats of rice wine in a circle and leaves them out to tempt the dragon. Attracted by the smell of the strong wine, Yamato no Orochi plunges each of his 8 heads into a vat and drinks greedily. Once the drunk dragon collapses helpless to the ground, Susanoo used his powerful sword to slice Orochi to pieces. The local river ran red with the blood of the slain menace. And as Susanoo hacked up Orochi, he discovered a sacred sword embedded in one of his tails. But, aside from Orochi, Japanese dragons, like Chinese dragons, were sometimes shown as fair and benevolent, and the Japanese believed dragons to bring wealth and good luck. And during the Edo period from 1603 to 1868, it was popular for Japanese firefighters to get dragon tattoos. They believed the image of the dragon would protect them while fighting fires. Images of dragons adorn many Buddhist temples in Japan because the dragons were thought to dispel evil. So, in short, again, with the exception of Yamato no Orochi, for the most part, Japanese dragons, like Chinese dragons, are shown as symbols of powers and good luck. Next is ZAHHAK, a dragon from Persian mythology. ZAHHAK is an Azi, which means serpent or dragon. With his dragon wings, he flew over his enemies, defeating warriors and terrifying people. He was cunning, strong, and possessed all possible sins. And he rules with help from demons called devas. In later versions, ZAHHAK appears as a man with snakes growing out of his cheeks, but in the version I'm showing here, he is a three-headed dragon. And the story goes that his lair was on Mount Damavand, a volcano and the highest peak in Iran. The story goes that ZAHHAK is the son of the ruler, but as a young man he was easily influenced by evil advisors. One persuaded ZAHHAK to kill his father by digging a pit and covering it with leaves. His father falls in and dies, making ZAHHAK the ruler. His advisor kisses ZAHHAK on both cheeks, and immediately 2 snakes grew out of his face. These heads needed to be fed 2 human brains every day. With the help of demons, ZAHHAK ruled as a tyrant for 1,000 years. It is believed that when the world ends, he will return and kill 1 in 3 humans and animals before he is destroyed. ZAHHAK had visions that he was going to be attacked, and he ordered his men to find and kill this attacker, but learns that it's a 9-year-old boy named Fridon, and that Fridon had already fled. Later, Fridon leads an army against ZAHHAK's palace, where he attacks ZAHHAK with a mace specially made from the head of an ox. When Fridon attacks ZAHHAK, snakes and scorpions burst from the wounds, but the god Ormazad tells Fridon not to kill ZAHHAK because the world would become overrun with these creatures. But instead, Fridon imprisons ZAHHAK in a cave beneath Mount Damavand, where he will remain until the end of time. The next is Tiamat, a multi-headed aquatic dragon from tales told in Iraq. According to the mythology of Mesopotamia, Tiamat is the dragon goddess of the sea. With Apsu, god of fresh waters, she has 4 children who are also gods. These gods grew noisy, and Apsu wanted to kill them. Ea, one of his children, discovered Apsu's plot and killed him first. Tiamat then plans to take revenge on her children and creates 11 monsters. Ea and others go into battle against Tiamat, but all fail. Then Ea's son, Marduk, offers to fight Tiamat if the other gods will make him their master after he defeated the dragon. After making all his weapons, Marduk flew in a storm chariot against Tiamat, spread his net around her, and blows the winds at her with such force that they fill her body and she cannot close her mouth again. He fires an arrow that pierces her belly, splitting her in 2. Her monsters try to flee, but he catches them. From one half of Tiamat, Marduk makes a roof for the sky, and on the other half, he creates the earth. Now the gods consider Marduk the supreme god, and thus he started making the world. According to the legend, from 2 of Tiamat's eyes, Marduk created the great rivers of Mesopotamia, the Tigris and the Euphrates, and from her poison, he makes fog. The story of Marduk and Tiamat probably dates from the 18th to 16th century BCE. It was discovered in texts from 668 to 630 BCE, and the earliest map of the world, the Babylonian world map, made between about 700 and 500 BCE, includes the story. And the tablets telling the story were discovered at the ruins of the city of Nineveh, which is near Mosul, Iraq, about 250 miles northwest of Baghdad. Next are Vietnamese dragons, or RONGS. The first kind of Vietnamese dragon was a cross between a crocodile and a snake. If a RONG has 4 or 5 claws on its toes, then it's high-ranking. Its body is divided into 12 parts, representing the 12 months of the year. Its tail, with one flick, can sink a whole fleet of ships. And RONGs always kept gemstones in their mouths, which were believed to bring good fortune to the Vietnamese. The legend says that one of the founders of the Viet people was Lac Long Chuan, who was descended from a dragon, while his wife, Ao Ko, was descended from a fairy. It was said that the dragons lived near the coast, while the fairies lived in the mountains, and wrongs can change the weather and guard crops. And the wrongs were said to protect the Vietnamese people from invaders. They appeared from the depths and spit the gems they keep in their mouths into the water from the advancing ships. And almost immediately, steep, rocky islands sprang up in the path of the invaders. It was too late for the invaders to change course, and their ships crash onto the rocks. The attack is defeated, Vietnam is saved, and the 2,000 steep, rocky islands can be seen today in the Ha Long Bay. And at the Vietnamese New Year, children dance a dragon dance to ward off evil spirits and bring good luck. Up next is RYUJIN, the Japanese dragon god of the sea. In both Japan and China, the dragon is one of the guardian animals of the four directions. The dragon guards the east compass point and is associated with the season of spring. RYUJIN's head had the horns of a stag, whiskers that indicate his wisdom, and eyes that see everything from the bottom of the ocean. Floods happen when RYUJIN rakes his impressive claws through the ocean. The swipe of his foot is capable of capsizing an entire fleet of ships. When he opens his mouth, toothy jaws, and inhales, giant whirlpools appear in the water. And a single thrash of RYUJIN's tail created massive tidal waves that wipe out entire coastal villages. Legend has it that for a human, one day at RYUJIN's underwater palace is equal to 100 years on Earth. His servants included sea turtles and jellyfish, and RYUJIN controls the tides with magical sea jewels. Humans must approach him carefully because no mortal can glimpse his entire body and survive the sight. And, according to legend, RYUJIN helped protect Japan against invasion from Korea. His beautiful daughter married Prince Huri, making RYUJIN the ancestor of all the Japanese emperors. Next are from the wizarding world and other, starting with the Chinese fireball, aka the lion dragon. It got its name for the mushroom-shaped flame balls that burst from its nostrils when it's angered. It weighed between 2 and 4 tons, with the female being larger than the male. The eggs are a vivid crimson speckled with gold, and the shells are much prized for use in Chinese wizardry. The fireball is aggressive, but more tolerant of its own species than most dragons, sometimes consenting to share its territory with up to 2 others. It mostly eats on mammals, although it prefers pigs and humans. Next is Dragonolly's Tibetan dragon, or Draco montana. It was thinner and redder than its counterpart, the Asian lung. It loved high altitudes. It mainly preyed upon yetis and sometimes yaks. It lived on open mountainside in summer and in shallow den of snow in the winter. The adults were 40 feet long and 10 to 12 feet high. Next was the marine dragon from Discovery Channel's Dragons: A Fantasy Made Real, an aquatic creature that lived in China and survived the KT extinction that killed off the dinosaurs. What were once flight glands were used as flotation glands. Its frill was folded back when swimming and, according to the program, may have been the inspiration for Chinese sea serpents. And finally, there's the forest dragon, which was also from Fantasy Made Real. It was a powerful swimmer, but mainly lived in the thicketed forests. Like the marine dragon, it couldn't fly, so what were believed to be flight bladders were probably used to store fire. And the dragon could breathe fire and often used its fire breath to scorch the thin skin of its prey, thus making it easier for the dragon to eat. Well, that was it. my magnificent and mythological episode on other Asian dragons. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Leave requests in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Alpha Lion Simba,